The time has come, so seal your fate. Pain and scars of past mistakes. We stay strong and refuse to break. You know the world is yours to take, and we will be the one. Time to take a stand. The world is in our hands, and you can feel the weight. Circles closing in. Time to carry on, and we will be the
And welcome back to PMGC 2022. We will be heading into match number 5 in just a couple of minutes. But before that, we should look at the overall rankings. Not only that, we should maybe take some moments to discuss that last game, which was DRS and obviously T2K as well, that performed fabulously for their region.
Yeah, the battle able to show strong in that previous game, and I'm really hyped to see the overall rankings, how much that potentially has changed right now, because we reached already the halfway point of the tournament before this previous match, and now more than ever, 7, it's going to be so much harder to really have a big impact on the rankings if you're towards the bottom. So if you're towards the bottom of the rankings, it may be a little bit too late to make changes.
If you were going to make changes, they should have happened at the beginning of today.
Vampire, what?
They did make some changes, though, to be fair, but it didn't end up working out for them. Inco Gaming, wow, maintaining their first place. And the reason why I'm saying wow is because DRS now making the jump to that second place with 98 points, STG falling down, and Alpha 7 overtaking Nova.
Yeah, Alpha 7 able to get himself just a little bit higher right there, remaining in that 4th position while Nova dropping down, but that's fine. You know, Nova, they're just nading themselves. They're having fun. But no, at the end of the day, it's cool to see the competition being so close between all of these teams. You're looking even for Angry Men. They could get themselves a pop-off game, and they'll be roomed right up there, potentially even that top 3 position. So it is still so close, up in the air. Who will take it? I have no idea.
100%, and actually a big surprise for me is going to be T2K.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they are actually maintaining the placement there in the first page. As we go towards the second page here, IHC, we see them with 74 points. If we go down, Fireflux, after we saw the good performance out of them earlier on, they have completely disappeared. And then Wolf Esports, this was a team that I was just expecting so much more. I expected them to be in the first page at this stage, and they're currently not.
Yeah, unfortunately for the PL team of Wolves Esports, not going to be able to get himself too much done.
Gosh.
I'm a little bit disappointed by Buriram, actually. They were, I'm not talking about the team below Stalwart, no. I'm talking about Buriram. They were my dark horse pick initially going into this, and I do not see their performance on the league stage. They're just struggling to get in that rotation path. They struggle to take fights. And even if they do have a good position, which doesn't happen that often, they don't tend to hold it that strongly. So it's a rough time for them.
Unfortunately, they don't. We have 2 more matches remaining for the day, and we have already crossed the halftime mark. Miramar and Erangel will be the upcoming 2 maps. Looking at the top Miramar performers, we have Nova sitting in first place.
Oh, that's a lot of points. That's pretty good. I don't know why my voice went like that. I don't know. You take it, 7.
But I'm glad Nova's currently there because they have had 2 bad performances in comparison to what they were able to do at the beginning of the day. I know we were kind of joking about how Paraboy ended up nading two of his teammates and how they were just kind of laughing it off. And after this past game, they really didn't perform that well either. I feel like if they can maybe put another good performance here, it's going to push them up to that third place, and that's exactly what they're going to want to be.
And we keep saying, right, when you're talking about Miramar and teams that we expect to do well, we keep on saying all the time, Nova Esport, they're finally up there, they're performing well, they might get themselves another strong game here.
Let's look at the teams to watch and look. Actually, we do have one Nova pick as well. Talking about Nova right now. 7. You expect Nova to perform well in Miramar now? I mean, they are the top performers, so, you know, it's kind of a given. But either way, care to explain because they haven't really been popping off in the last game?
I think pretty much exactly what I said before and exactly what that graphic showed is exactly what I wanted to say and the reason why I'm picking them. I'm also picking Inco Gaming because I do want them to maintain that first place finish, and I'm picking Wolves as well because of what I was saying too. This team needs to do something. They showed so much potential and nothing's going on.
Airdrop, you know? I mean,
on purpose.
Right now, it's not Wolves Esports, it's like Puppy Esports. Not gonna lie, that's what we're seeing. Yeah.
Max,
I thought it was good.
yeah, that was good. Actually, I wanted to talk about your picks, but maybe just talk about one really quickly. Actually, I hear that we are going over to the casters, maybe a couple of last words. Last prediction for you, you have set one team to watch?
Vampire keep changing stuff.
Vampire keeps changing stuff. We're going over to the commentary desk, and it is John Allen and Plank to cast for you guys at home. So, once again, take it away.
Thank you very much, Alex and the rest of the desk. We are going into Miramar for the penultimate match of today. A couple of substitutions on the cards. We're talking about changes that Vampire can make. This is what they're going to go for. 2 stops in for Schweppes.
I think it's a kind of an interesting substitution. I think Schweppes is one of the better players on that squad, but 2 stops also incredibly powerful player. I don't know if it's too little too late now for Vampire. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Perhaps they can blast out, but again, I think this is more looking for a high placing finish now for the guys from Vampire as opposed to a podium finish. Keep this one strong, keep the spirits high. This is all about for Thailand at the moment. But over to Miramar once again. So what kind of game we do see here. Geek Fam still keeping it strong so far. Really good to see. Yuhai put an absolute clinic recently, today as well, versus IHC earlier. Versus a lot of teams in the lobby. Really taking his team to the limit at the moment. See how far they can push this one into Miramar.
Heading over to the desert for the second time today. We'll be flying from Puerto Paraíso all the way up towards Ruins, a direct southeast to northwest cut on Miramar for our 11th match of the tournament of the series. Teams should find it fairly simple to access most of the map here, Blank. It's not really going to isolate too much away. Late positions over towards places like Cruz del Valle, towards Tierra Bronca, also over to Valle de Mar for teams like 4 AM, and Los Higos as well, a little bit further south, but everywhere else really going to be very accessible now.
Absolutely, I think there's going to be a fair few positions around the map which should be accessible for these teams. A very fair playing path here on Miramar towards El Pozo. DRS obviously out nice and early. An Eastern team most of the time. This has been throughout most of PMGCs we've seen DRS take up this kind of approach as well. It's nice to see this continue for them. Buradam in their vicinity, just not able to get through onto a lot of these positions they'd like to take. Many teams around their areas shutting them down nice and early.
Impala for Buradam. East side, Alpha 7 out a little bit later, potentially heading up towards La Cobreria and the Crater Fields. A south circle will bring them back down south. Alpha 7 had the wind knocked out of their sails just a little bit so far today. Only 2 more chances to prove that it's still there, that they were just tacking into the wind. Influence Kemin though, they've been keeping that pace up just a little bit further. 85 to 83, Alpha 7 to Influence Kemin respectively. But Inco stretching out ahead. 12 points ahead of DRS after DRS's chicken dinner. Inco still sit firmly atop, and they are the first team to break that 100-point barrier.
Still doing some really good work for Inco. A little bit blessed throughout today in terms of circles. They've translated that into points though, that's the main thing. doesn't necessarily always mean you get points even if you get the circle. Does not work that way. We saw that from T2K up in Severny anyway. They dropped in that spot, weren't able to get the points available to them. Down to just Jane in the end, taking himself out. Again, third place, not bad for them. 81 points in 7th. A real opportunity to move up towards that upper echelons. 4th place, definitely accessible. Like to see a 4 AM game here, though. Still putting up those numbers, but again, a little bit more needed. 4 AM's at 4, they look really good, but losing players early at the moment, not ideal for them. Nova, I think this could be another big game for them, John, honestly, here on Miramar. There has been some oopsie daisies through the last couple for them. And I think Nova can definitely turn this one into a win.
Nova down in, I say down, they are in 5th right now. Maybe should say up in 5th. It's certainly very much still in that conversation, which is where they wanted to be. We questioned their presence and their power in this lobby, in this final, from yesterday's performance, but we knew that they've always had it in them. 30 knocks for Matic over in the last chance qualifier. It's just such a shame that HVVP didn't make it. A very powerful team, but when the chips were down, when the cards were being counted, it just didn't go their way. And that's sometimes just how it goes here. The PMGC found the top 16 teams in the world and has brought them all together here. And at the moment, Inco sits atop that pile, the Brazilian squad.
It's a cruel finish as PMGC. Like I said, John, things don't necessarily always go your way. You have to work with what you're given. Looking at 4 AM on our screen at the moment. Currently down towards the eastern side of Minas del Valle. Just passing up past Los Higos and a couple of players underneath Empire Esports in Los Leones. Potential for them to get a good game here, considering the circle down towards that southwest. Fireflux also maybe looking for a big game here.
You'd hope anyway. 65 points right now for Fireflux. 11th place on the tables. It is very volatile still on these tables, and in an 18 game set, it can all change at the drop of a hat. So you do need to keep your wits about you. Seize any opportunity that comes your way, should it be presented. Wolves moving quite early on this one, able to get central towards Chumacera. Valuable position. You're talking about it with Fireflux holding that area as well. They will be getting some neighbors fairly soon. 4 Angry Men, they left south from Los Leones. They are coming in towards Minas del Valle now, but the hills to the south of Chumacera could prove to have value, and the value that they are looking for on 4 Angry Men to try and catch up to Nova. Now a 9-point difference between them and 4 Angry Men.
It's a good spot to play actually for 4 AM. Really nice high ground to play around with. Getting in this spot early on is always the name of the game. Not necessarily a position that you can head in towards later on. This is one of the positions that you bank on, so I like this play from 4 AM, splitting Svan, Kudziao, Ching Chen and Co. on a 2-2 split, allowing them to regroup together wherever the circle goes, but always on high ground and giving support to one another from afar. It's a very smart play. Let's see if this one works out, though. That's always the question. Inco barreling their way in from that northeast side. Getting caught up between a few teams, though, in the process.
Still quite a little bit of space around them. Miramar obviously being so large, there's a lot of rotational paths there. To their east side, there's T2K. To their west, they have to deal with the Wolves, who made this rotation a little bit earlier than they did. Vampire potentially coming across T2K as they head west from Los Leones. Ravenclaw very, very close by, and it looks like they might be looking for this engagement. 2 players moving forwards. 2 stops wanting to swing out wide. His first entry for the squad so far in this tournament, looking to elevate them from the 39-point bottom table performance that we've had from them so far. T2K, 2 players are there. The Vampire aren't going to push for them either way. Not going to take too much damage from it either. They will maintain for the time being. Keep the course on the heading. T2K, 81 points in 7th place. I feel like this is a team we haven't really talked about too much, but there is a lot of power there behind them.
I think T2K have been steady away for the majority of this tournament. We haven't been able to talk about them too much, John, but honestly, regardless of that fact, they're still making stuff happen. 81 points is one hell of a result. It just hasn't been any of those pop-offs. It's mostly about just getting towards that end game, picking up those points where they can, and then going from there. Influence came in another team on that same kind of hype, trucking away on those points. Alpha 7 were able to overtake them just a little bit up towards 85 now, head them by 2. IHC shots over towards Alter Ego.
Alter Ego skirting around on the headland there. Will be able to get to safety for the time being. 4 of their players still alive. And playing on the southwest side near Valle de Mar, as Alpha 7 going to be moving in from the north edge.
Everyone really banking on a lot of spots around the map at the moment. Trying to figure out what kind of spots will be ideal here, or trying to take at least whatever is suitable. Monte Nuevo in this one though, very hardship towards the northwest. 4 AM really put out by this one. As our DRS down towards that south side, Influence Kemin got a long way to go. Can't even see them on the screen for you guys, but they're all the way over towards Puerto Paraíso at the moment. Inco, again, shifted to 5th gear. We'll get a move on up towards Monte Nuevo's side. 4 AM equally. Just trying to get down off that mountain as fast as possible and back on the road. You can see them zipping, flying over the top of these ridges.
A lot of teams making rapid movements now. This is a very hard shift, Blank. This zone 3 will put the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons as Nova moving in from that east edge. Might come across Inco if they move any further south, but everybody on that east side will be up to bat, I'm sure, in the coming set of rotations. 4 Angry Men rolling on up. Actually, in the meantime, over towards Nenebete. Goes 1 for 1 on the trade. Becker moves through. Nenebete flushed away. 4 Angry Men moving as a unit. Squash able to do some damage. And now up the stairs they go. First down, but again, they trade it off. And 4 Angry Men are winning this out by the sheer fact that they're sticking together. Becker, low HP close by, will need to get a heal off if he wants a chance in this engagement. 2 versus 1 right now. Has got a backup now coming through in the form of Vitali. But they are splitting this fight nicely. And in comes order from Nova as well to slow the players on the inside. Vitali down and out, and Inco full early 16th place, 0 points. The door is open for teams to try and catch up now.
4AM though, suffering to similar antics, losing players early. But Inco going out is not great news for them whatsoever. Gives a chance for DRS, S2G, A7 to potentially catch up.
Pretty much everyone all the way down to 7th place in T2K, 81 points. Reachable for players in that bracket, should they have the circles align. Inco, 110 right now, which sits 29 points ahead of T2K. We've seen those chicken dinners happen before. Nades from Nova, continuing to bombard on the 4 Angry Men's position that they fought so hard for. And Order will not let them rest. Another one sent on over. Not going to land any damage, but certainly going to be scary as a prospect. Shots actually coming through from T2K.
4M at least do get a resupply on the guys from Inco there. Should give them enough meds, enough supplies to restabilize. 3 players, not ideal, but not the worst thing to happen to you in the world. And with, I think that was at least 3 eliminations going their way, yes. It's decent news for them. Circle setting us up a little bit more. Vest2G dead set in the middle. Might be looking for another big game. Obviously, they dominated on our earlier Miramar of the day. Looking to make this one number 2.
Buriram from the south side. Max had them as a dark horse pick. We really respected their prowess in the games that we've seen from them so far. They deserve to qualify here. But they have fallen just short of that mark, that barrier that they set for themselves to try and jump on up. Hopefully they can resurge. There's still a couple more matches for them to be able to do so, to climb up those tables all the further. And this time they will move into the south of S2G, who are looking to close that gap themselves against Inco.
I think if you look at Buriram, it really does feel like the wings were torn off and they were falling from up on high during this PMGC. Hope for something a little bit more from them. Didn't see it. And again, still don't see it at the end of the day. Kengza was so confident coming into this PMGC2. Just feel like they weren't able to really find that same type of momentum that they were showing us over in that group stage. Again, central position now though for them. First time in a long, long while that we've seen Buriram be able to pick up a position like this and work with it.
Alter Ego take a knock. Hopefully they can get back towards that one, get that res. Gonna be tricky though. That is fairly out and open. A vehicle is really the only cover, the vehicle that was dropped out from. The smoke blooms under pressure from Alpha 7. Carrillo's low, so will be forced to heal off there. Can't really afford to go for this peak, but Alter Ego seemingly really want to invest the resources to get this one back. IHC don't have other ideas. They are going to control the ground around them.
IHC, really big lineup at the moment with Alex further back, Demo down towards the southwest. Still have to keep eyes over towards Fireflux and DRS, but DRS look like they are moving up towards Fireflux's position. Rules gets dangerously close. He's on the ridge side. You look at Wolves though, they've got a nice little split for themselves towards the center of the map. With that ditch right in the middle that Buriram currently hold, they're not going to be taking too many fights with anyone anytime soon, but it will give them a lot of time to just live towards the end of the match here.
Fireflux now needing to hold off against this push, but they split up a little bit. Now facing off against 4, Killer will waste no time in opening up the bidding. Solke immediately dealt with, and look at that, Solus just sends away. Not really too much else to do in that scenario. They know that they're going to have to move further forwards north for Fireflux, so why not get ahead of it? You've already lost your teammate, and now DRS are hot on your heels. You need to make the most of every second you have.
Yeah, DRS are just an encroaching team. Once you give them any kind of space available to them, like vines, they're just going to creep on forward, take them all that space towards themselves and constrict you. I think for any one team in their vicinity, just has to leave, get out of dodge. My name P, surprisingly, down towards that south side of DRS. Not regroup with the rest of his team for Buriram. It will be a long run to get towards them, and he is heading dangerously close to DRS in this moment. The circle at stage 4 will be hitting very hard.
Nova eastern side. Frozen at the back on the east side. Influence Kemin looking to shunt in just a little bit further south of that. They are really struggling. 3 players are alive. Federal knocked almost down, but not out of it. Koyovski's handling business in the meantime. T2K not ready for it, it seems, but Koyovski's finally dispatched. And in a difficult position for Influence Kemin to get the res, but they're going to try nonetheless. Both players up and into the buggy. Swinging down low. Federal on the back is the moving turret. Not going to be able to get the knock on the approach. Has to swap weapons to the UMP, and not enough bullets are available there. Jane, one of the few last to fall, and now it's just Rig for T2K to try and stay alive. Koyovski did go down in the meantime, but there is retribution now on the cards. A nade from Federal could be all it takes. Rig forced around by the blue. Law is playing off Federal as well. A little bit lower on the HP, so waiting for the players to get a little bit closer. Now they're going to try and trade it off. Rig pushing on in with the blue zone moving. They have to go for the fight. Rig to the tree, finds one, looks for a second. T2K holding out around the tree. Federal, oh, just able to sneak it through, but the blue zone's there. It's going to be cruel. It is not going to be easy for them. And now Nova have to fight off against 4 angry men. They've been close by for a while now, and Jimmy is able to get an opening knock, but Ching-Chen able to look for more as a trade happens across the way. Order down, backs off the hill. Jimmy and Paraboy looking to try and reinvest Order into the fold.
Smoke's going out, providing Ching-Chen with a little bit of base of operations here. Moves down, tries to spot the player behind the wall, gives it the pre-spray there, but Won't find anything much more. Order, I think, has now regrouped. Players from Nova up front, providing that backstop. Svan, the back there, the veteran from 4AM, looking to put more damage through towards Nova's side.
Oh, Jimmy catches an ankle. Not going to do too much, but certainly opens up the possibilities here. Frozen is going to break out wide, but Jimmy gets a lovely angle through the window, and it's another one to go down for 4 Angry Men to leave them out. 14th place, 5 eliminations. Jimmy is resable, but they'll have to crawl forwards. The blue zone not going to be able to heal out on that one, and you can see Paraboy lobs him over the shoulder. The lift to the circle keeps him alive.
Wonderful stuff there from Nova. Really, really good understanding of the map and the terrain. It's the only way that happened so cleanly, and they knew they had to finish out that fight quick, considering how close they are to the circle starting to envelop. Yuhai heard this engagement, made the operative decision to head down this way and maybe hold out a team that's just come out from the back of a pretty hefty engagement themselves in Nova.
With the time that they've been given, Nova are going to be able to regroup quite effectively. Yanti, oh no, finds Solus lying in wait for whatever reason for Fireflux. And DRS are down now, so S2G, the only team that can look to really push realistically in this game. Nova on the east, sure, they might be able to make it. Alpha 7 actually as well with a shot over on that western side. But to be honest, S2G's position is so powerful. Look at the high ground that they have. It's just so difficult to deal with for any team nearby.
S2G, said it before, very strong here on Miramar. Great at finding these positions around the map. Fireflux, lose one more in the process. There's another going down. Some great long shots there. Over towards on board of Alter Ego.
Alter Ego will have to push a little bit closer to the next zone as well. Fireflux fall on the south side. Alpha 7 to the north of Alter Ego. And where do Alter Ego go now? Because S2G are going to spot everything they do as soon as they want to move. Alpha 7 there to catch them if they move north. IHC crunching them in on that south side. It is brutal for them on the southwest. Nova squeak in on the northeast side in the meantime.
Good stuff from them. Difficult run for Nova, but they've found themselves a position to play from. Oh, great news. Snipes already moving further towards the center. Wolves locked in combat right now.
Vampire trading off. Remember, it does go down. Ravenclaw knocked, but safe for now. For the time being, Pick Feet close by, spotted over the hillside. Fluke tries to go for the spray, but he hits the deck and fades the shots there. Vampire playing together, playing solid. Beautiful, though, finds a little bit of an opening, tags it on, and finds a second knock onto Vampire. Fluke tries to control the ridgeline, but it's just not going their way. Two stops, not going to be able to do anything as there's a second player from Wolves to move through. And what a push coming in. Beautiful, beautiful over that ridge. 5 eliminations for the Wolves, and Vampire cannot stand up to the test.
Clean engagement from Wolves there. Vampire looked like they were doing so much better already with 2 stops in the fold. They just get crumbled by Wolves on 3 different angles. Wolves just play through the pressure. 7 eliminations already on this game. Looking to end their Miramar strongly. S2G still playing out the game slowly. Now looking over towards IHC. Incredible spot for them. Very difficult to play against this position from S2G. The circle moves further down towards the southwest. It's almost a guaranteed S2G win.
Will be difficult to wrest it from their control. But how far can they go? They sit 15 points behind lobby leaders Inco. A chicken dinner would see them there, and the eliminations would see them even further. IHC trying to roll over the top now into Alpha 7 sightlines. Mafioso and Carrillo lighten teams up left and right. Will have the forward position in Carrillo to be able to regroup towards as well as they control these teams on the south. Alter Ego, this is the difficult push that we were talking about before. Fnatic lobbing that nade up towards Alex to try and isolate an angle, but Alex sends one back and it's good for 2. And not only that, it's good for the 9th place finish of Alter Ego.
Circle centers up, still doesn't matter. Even if the barest ridge side of this spot from S2G still in, it will give them major control over the majority of this match. Stalwart looking to pump some more numbers, down in 15th place, really Not the PMGC they were looking for, not the PMGC we expected from them either. Nova, though, taking massive amounts of damage. This is always going to be a difficult push, and they want to go for something drastic.
But they are here now, which is really quite great news. If Geek Fam fall out on the push, Jimmy might survive for quite a while yet on the side of Nova. S2G with the high ground, though. Need to start to put the pressure in. Only one elimination so far. Kengzo wants to put a nade up towards that ridge line. Cooks it up. Doesn't find the knock. And looking to suppress it as well. Didn't really find too much damage there either. Buradam trying to move away from them, but really can't do that. Sky Only somehow manages to lead out into the field, but actually gets backed off by Revo from Alpha 7 from the north side. A little bit maybe overzealous on the rotation. Top from Godlike Stalwart, spots Sky Only rocking up to his shack, and actually he's not going to waste any time in just going straight out into the field. Sky Only under pressure from all angles, but Top, you can't afford to be out in the open like that, not when everybody's looking your way. Sky Only has a nade in hand, but there's one coming through. Oh wait, no, hang on a minute, that was from himself. Okay, I thought that was from Top, but no, it does go up in flames, and it is actually Pika to get the point.
Stalwart looking very dominant on this northern side. To push even further down. Buradam, great chance in this game. Really given an opportunity here, John, and done next to nothing with it. Mine MP being away from the rest of the team. Now Kengzo going down to some great shots coming through from S2G. Now starting to really leverage this position of theirs.
Nature of Godlike Stalwart towards Alpha 7, who have themselves been quite the terror on this northwestern side. Moving over the ridgelines, Top wants to go for a spray, but Pika has already fallen and doesn't really have the cover on that flank that he needs to be the force on this 2-2 split. Mythic over the side of that ridgeline around the tree. A lovely nade to the back, over onto Mafioso for Top, and he's still holding strong for now. Doesn't really have so much mobility with the sightlines that S2G hold, but Alpha 7 are going to think twice now about pushing around this sideline. A nade over the top doesn't really go far enough, and Mafioso can get rezzed here. Mythic close, crawling in towards Top on the UMP. And hits the deck in the smoke, wants to go for the heal now. Carrillo has the nade in hand and wants to pull the pin. Smoke actually just being redeployed in front of Mythic, and they can keep this ridgeline. Molotov in hand, Top launches it towards the back lines, but Mythic is close by. Top fades it away. Ooh, he's playing it super sneaky. I think he's been spotted. Mythic tagged.
Stressful scenario now for Alpha 7. Mythic in a real tough spot. Stalwart looking to just keep them on that side. S2G have to break away now. Have they done enough to clear enough space out from this south side to give them an easy exit? Silas, one of the best players of the team at the moment, sends out wide. Should have spotted this player quickly. Goes to the final from Buradam. Tries to finish it off. Will do. As Buradam United down. And S2G with a clean sweep. The southwest side. Moving up towards this crate. This is a perfect opportunity for them now.
The Wolves have one of the few positions that can really slow them down, but the zone will push them off it soon enough. The question is, what can they do before that happens? Can they get an opening towards S2G? Alpha 7 gets spotted out by Razy. Mythic taken super, super low and starts his movements forwards in the buggy and stays alive for the time being. Just that sliver of HP keeps him in and actually allows Alpha 7 to have 3 players moving central. They've already given up on Mafioso. Wolves have to move from that position, and they will move up north and swing out to sweep against Geek Fam as Memory swings out wide on the ridgeline, and Pit Feet leapfrogs over the top of him to put more damage through. 1-2, 1-2, and through. Memory pulls them back to mortality.
Great stuff there. The memento is all Geek Fam were at the end of the day. They sift past them. Now looking over towards Nova, still in the match in stage 7. Only 5 teams remaining, so again, a decent result for them. Alpha 7 push this one a little bit further. S2G do not want to allow enough one of these games to slip, considering they had such a good start.
The direction of the shack for Jimmy, I mean, I said it before, is going to allow him to survive for a long, long time. Geek Fam did not push up into it, and now Wolves are fairly decimated. They've managed to achieve 10 eliminations, though, in the meantime, so a phenomenal result for them towards the top. Now S2G looking to just continue this pressure as they push in from the south. Alpha 7 have got some solid spots to try and defend from, though, as Silas moves up close and personal to Revo and Mythic. Has got a nade in hand. Will know that those vehicles are there. Should be able to place it nicely. Mythic will receive the brunt of the damage, but can start to heal that up very, very quickly. The rest of S2G will have sightlines, and they'll know that there's a player by this rock now. Bandages only, and only the one for Mythic. Those stims not going to last too long, and he's no helmet either.
Yo!
Throwing those bandages over from Revo, actually going for a second deployment as well. Such a crucial position, and Carrillo steps up for Alpha 7 to move Silas back. Slow S2G, but they've already taken down one player from Wolves, only Pick Feet remaining.
Looked like a good grenade over towards Alpha 7, but a bit too short here from Stalwart. S2G taking a lot of casualties at the moment, a lot of damage going their way. Still have a really strong spot on the top of the high ground, and I think maybe Silas' position was a bit overzealous there. Gets forward, and maybe he's able to be that player that is the cobra in the grass. But Hamzy G's gonna go for it, and this is a mistake. This is the biggest mistake we've seen all day.
Gets cut down in the process. Alpha 7, though, 3 eliminations this late in the game. It wouldn't be a big chicken dinner, but it would be a great way to give them confidence to come back in and keep this momentum going. S2G likely now down to 2 players on this south side. No team at full force. Pick Feet playing in the shack. I think he might just be able to stay in this next circle. Will do so. Has to hop out the window if he doesn't want to take blue. Oh, no, wait, he's already on the outside. I thought he was on the inside, but no. We'll be able to move forwards on foot. Godlike Stalwart, 3 players on the northern edge. And trying to challenge out Alpha 7.
Razy and Kelsey now have to really work hand in hand. If S2G want even a chance in hell getting up towards that top 2. Stalwart tossing the smokes out, creating the train. Good shots from Alpha 7 though, and Stalwart's picked to pieces.
Mythic pulling them apart there on the push. Top already down, action low. Scry. The only one really healthy at this stage for Godlike Stalwart. Ooh, action so close to going down there. Managed to get the first aid off just in time before it tickles too much. Mythic close. Loves crawling around in these smokes. Nades over the back and a Molotov to slow down that ridgeline. Will pop the nade further back and Revo suppressed. Carrillo up the top, going to be pivotal in this engagement. Mythic needs to land a shot as well. It's traded 1-for-1. Scry with the blue zone coming through. Goes for the flush instead, and now Carrillo can look to stand up. Spots Scry and takes down Godlike Stalwart. But that is an excellent go time for S2G themselves. Klausy and Razy, the last 2 players. Find Revo at the back, and S2G look at a step up tall. Carrillo over the ridgeline. And but with an assist coming in from Godlike Stalwart on the north side, they pull it back together, and with that, they strike out for the top of the table.
A couple of mistakes at the end there. You can see the relief as well. They thought it might have cost them, but Razy and Kelsey bring it through at the end. Some real clutch movers there. Necessary to keep them in it. I think Hamzy G going for that res, though, had to be the boldest move we've seen all day. Just rolling down into UAS.
Sometimes you just got to make that sort of play, you know. Sometimes it just happens like that. Talking to Alpha 7 about that finish as well. Both of those teams will be very happy with how that one played out.
Obviously, Alpha 7 needed that game to pump their numbers back up again just a little bit. Your S2G, who just missed out on that chicken dinner on Miramar last time around, but this time they're able to pull it all the way through. Really, really good stuff from S2G. Played that map out very nicely, which is a real boon for them tomorrow. If they're going to dominate on that map 2 times in a row, and they can continue to do that tomorrow too, wonderful stuff. That's going to give them a real boon coming in tomorrow, knowing that, you know, by the end of the day, if they're still lacking some points, if they want to get towards that #1 spot, take home the grand title for Turkey, you know, there's always Miramar still available and ready to give them those points that they need.
How cool would that be to have a defending champion team at next year's PMGC? But they've still got a whole match and an extra day to play through if they want to maintain that spot at the top. They were 15 points behind Inco at the start of this game. I think they had 8 or 9 eliminations there on top of the chicken dinner, so they will have cleared that hurdle. It is now definitely within their wheelhouse to keep this one turning.
Absolutely. S2G has looked like a good powerhouse during this tournament so far. These past 2 days, it's been nice to see. You know, they've been consistent. They have that firepower behind them. You love to see it. It's the kind of thing that is going to keep this team running into tomorrow. And I don't think they're going to run out of gas tomorrow either.
No, seemingly they've been winding up, and they have been ramping up over the course of the matches that we've seen from them, and it's a brilliant way to be able to operate in this tournament. However, it is, I would say, always easier to have a goal than it is to maintain a lead. So in that respect, maybe they could falter, and maybe that could give Inco the boost, the push that they need. Yeah,
being ahead is sometimes like a double-edged sword, right? It feels good because you have that buffer between you and some of the other teams, but you don't necessarily have that pressure on you, which is going to push you forward to really hit those big numbers towards the end of the day. I think that maybe S2G would love to be in second place, because it seems like on the chase they are somewhere else, man. They're like a dog with a car racing down the road, and they're looking for that registration plate, or in this case, the PMGC trophy.
It's quite the thing to be looking for.
Don't know why it's on the back of a car, but
it's got to be somewhere, doesn't it?
It's got to be somewhere.
You've got to put it somewhere. At the moment, I think
that's where it is.
Or it was on the stage yesterday. It's not there anymore.
There is a car round Jakarta.
It was just there. Someone moved it. They moved it for that martial arts display earlier.
True, which was very cool.
Yeah.
If you missed it, check it out.
Definitely.
Here we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anyway. It's late.
Okay. Yes, it is. But yeah, that was a really, really great performance. I would say from Alpha 7 as well, right? Because we talked about S2G. Alpha 7 controlled so much ground there. It was unfortunate that the third party came in from Godlike Stalwart when it did.
Yeah.
But this is a team that, remember, we were saying had slipped.
I think that the game could have been so much easier for S2G if they hadn't sent Silas out that far. I think with the high ground that they held, that game was practically impossible to lose with the 4-man on the top side. Silas is kind of playing it just a little bit too cheeky, in my opinion, taking up that position. It gives you an opportunity to get more of those elimination points. If that's what they were going for, they wanted to pump up as many points as possible. So going into tomorrow, they had a really good points lead. Obviously, we still have 1 match remaining over on Erangel, but fair play if that's the case. Again, though, you losing that opportunity at the chicken dinner off the back of that, and even Hamzy G going for the US play, really boggled my mind. I was very happy that they still got the chicken dinner in the end, because everything up until that point, I was like, this is good. This is team is and how they play, which is hyper aggressive. They're all over the place. They're a very quick team. Like, they're just darting around a lot of times. Doesn't necessarily bring you the greatest success just because they don't feel very tactical. They just feel like